Gotcha.
Texas, one of the most feral hog-infested regions in the United States. Cornfields are being destroyed, crops are being plowed, and people are not even daring to go outside after dark because the hogs are more aggressive than ever. That's why we're here today, to confront one of the largest dens of feral hogs ever found in the mountains of West Texas. Every year, we go on a hunt to control the hog population. But this year, the mission is more urgent than ever.
Yattı.
We assembled our team in a small town near the Texas-New Mexico border. From here, we would move towards the Rio Grande Valley, a dry, bushy area where the pigs were believed to be living. The journey took more than 3 hours. When we arrived, it was just after dawn. We split up to check the terrain, strategize, and prepare for what could be a very chaotic confrontation. Before we could settle down, we heard rustling sounds from the bushes in the distance. A herd of adult pigs was moving along the edge of the forest. They had no idea that they were about to be ambushed. We signaled, adjusted our sights, held our breath steady. We pulled the triggers decisively. 2 of them fell on the spot. The rest ran away in panic, but only got a few dozen meters before being taken down. Continuing our journey through a barren hill, we discovered another group of pigs, this time larger in number, about 7 to 8. We tried to approach slowly, looking for the best shooting position. But the pigs had already smelled the danger. They started running wild. Unable to wait any longer, we opened fire simultaneously. The bullets cut through the air, and one by one they fell. This technique was truly amazing. Wandering for a while longer, we followed a trail leading into the dense forest. The deeper we went, the more obvious the signs of wild pigs became. Through the scope, we saw dark shadows appearing and disappearing under the trees. Unable to wait any longer, the next round of shots left the barrel. 2 fell on the spot, another staggered before collapsing. A few targets were lucky to escape, however, we did not let that happen. Continuing to follow the trail, we entered a more open area, but full of tree roots and large rocks. Finally, our efforts were rewarded. The target was found. Our first shot missed, so the boar continued to hide. Not missing the opportunity, we immediately fired a second shot. And this time, the boar could not escape my bullet. After the shot, it ran a few meters before collapsing. Soon after, we also observed a herd of about 10 wild boars rushing towards the hillside. Seizing the opportunity, the whole team quickly raised their guns and aimed. With a single shot, he took down the biggest boar right on the spot. It was truly an amazing feeling. Wild boars are extremely smart. After continuous attacks, they started to hide more carefully. But that didn't stop us. This time, the group decided to split into small groups, ambushing in different positions. The target was in sight. Waiting for them to get into the perfect position, we opened fire. One fell immediately, the other two ran away, but just a few seconds later, the loud gunshots finished them off. The group decided to clear the main lair of the wild boars, an area full of tracks on the mountainside. When we arrived, the sight before our eyes stunned everyone. Wild boars were everywhere. As the distance was shortened, we found a suitable shooting position. The wild boars ran wild, but with reasonable tactics, we quickly took down 7 more, increasing the number of spoils significantly. Here it is. The group agreed to open fire simultaneously to optimize efficiency. After many hours, we took down a total of 40 wild boars. A staggering number, but also a reflection of the severity of the feral pig problem in this area.
لا لا برافو برافو دولة
It all started when we heard about ferocious wild boars that were ravaging the area. The locals said that they were no longer afraid of humans, but were becoming more and more daring, tearing apart camps and even attacking livestock. When the offer to join the campaign to control the wild boar population was made, none of us hesitated. So from carefree tourists, we became reluctant hunters, rushing into a breathless chase in the frozen wilderness. We gathered at the edge of the forest, where the snow covered the ground. The space was suspiciously quiet. The group quickly came up with a specific plan, dividing into small groups, deploying formations to cover the entire area, ensuring that not a single wild boar could escape. Finally, what we had hoped for appeared, deep footprints in the white snow. We immediately followed. Not far away, a wild boar was wandering, its nose constantly plowing the ground in search of food. I quickly found a suitable position, stabilizing my posture at a distance of 200 m. The cold made my fingers numb, but I still held the gun firmly in my hand. However, the wild boar suddenly stopped. It seemed to sense something was wrong and moved continuously, trying to escape the danger zone. But it was too late. I had already grasped its every move. The gunshot tore through the silence of the snowy forest. An accurate shot. The wild boar paused, its legs trembling before collapsing. On the opposite hill, gunshots suddenly rang out. The battle had officially begun. Looking through the scope, I quickly recognized the target, a giant wild boar. But no one could have expected that it was not a simple prey. The group quickly launched an attack. Gunshots rang out one after another, each shot cutting through the air aimed straight at the beast. But somehow, it continuously dodged spectacularly. Its strong survival instinct helped it dodge the bullets cunningly, running faster and farther with each step. In the blink of an eye, it changed direction, rushing straight towards the dense trees, and then disappeared. A feeling of regret rose in my heart. Our defeat against the giant wild boar, we were not discouraged. Continuing to move forward, crossing the snow-covered slopes, our eyes constantly scanned every tree, every trace on the ground. And then our perseverance was rewarded. Ahead, a large herd of wild boars had just appeared. They were moving down the valley. Not wanting to miss this opportunity, the group immediately deployed their formation, dividing to block the front and surrounding from many directions. I quickly rushed forward, choosing a strategic position. At this moment, a huge black shadow suddenly charged straight towards me. It was the leader of the herd. It was not afraid at all. But all arrogance comes at a price. I immediately raised my gun. A piercing scream echoed before it stopped, its legs shaking and collapsing onto the white snow. Still in the same snow-covered forest, I continued to move, my eyes quickly scanning every hidden corner, searching for traces of the intruders. This time, I chose a perfect ambush position. On the slope, I could observe the entire area ahead without being easily detected. About half an hour later, among the dry trees, a herd of wild boars suddenly appeared. They were moving quickly towards the top of the hill, probably looking for shelter after the recent fight. But this time, they weren't so lucky. Without hesitation, I quickly aligned my shot, took a deep breath, and pulled the trigger. Shaking the quiet forest, the wild boars panicked, their feet stomping on the snow, creating a chaotic scene. Some were hit by the bullets and collapsed on the spot. Others were injured, staggering to find a way to escape. At the foot of the mountain, a vast expanse of open land was covered in pure white snow. A wild boar, the last survivor of the herd, was running away at an astonishing speed. Immediately, I aimed and shot. The gunshot rang out sharply, a bullet flew out in the blink of an eye, and I took down the target with a fatal shot. Under the gray winter sky, I continued to move deeper into the forest. The wild boars were running away. They stopped while moving, looking around cautiously, as if sensing something. I held the gun tightly, adjusted my breathing, making sure that there was no mistake. The wild boar paused for a second. It was this moment. After the crisp gunshot, the wild boar had completely collapsed in the snow. From within the woods, chaotic noises rang out. The giant wild boars rushed in panic, trying to escape the clutches of the ferocious hunting dogs. However, they were completely unaware that an even more dangerous trap was waiting ahead. My teammates and I were ready, hiding in the dense bushes. When the wild boars moved to the right ambush position, they would have no way to escape. Gunshots rang out continuously. I took down 2 more wild boars before the herd disappeared from sight. Once again, the perfect ambush brought back worthy spoils. Did you know that a seemingly harmless animal is becoming a global nightmare? Wild boars, the silent destroyer, are causing a series of serious problems from Europe, America to Asia. They not only destroy ecosystems, erode soil, destroy crops, but also spread diseases and threaten ecological balance. Can we control this storm called wild boars? Or will they continue to dominate rural areas, national forests, and suburban areas? The answer is definitely no. As a hunter, I will not allow that to happen. The dawn is beginning to shine through the trees. I am ready for today's hunting trip, carrying the Boar 4X Marrow, a loyal companion in many previous trips. Beside me was a pack of elite hunting dogs, dogs that were familiar with this challenging task. As I was moving on the small road leading up the hill, I discovered strange signs in the gardens along the road. Large footprints were imprinted on the damp ground. The surrounding trees were damaged. I signaled the hunting dogs to stop and check the area. They quickly sniffed, barking loudly to signal that they had discovered the target. The barking led me to a nearby garden. In the middle of the bushes, an adult wild boar appeared. It had shiny black fur, weighed about 100 kilograms, and was gnawing on the tree roots. When it realized the presence of the dogs, it immediately ran away, rushing straight across the road to find a hiding place. At this moment, I raised my gun, calmly aimed and shot. A bullet hit the opponent's neck, and just a few seconds later, the wild boar collapsed. Without wasting any time, I continued hunting with the dogs for the next target. The dogs' barking made the wild boar panic, trying to find a way to escape. I quickly moved forward, choosing a favorable position to intercept. When the wild boar suddenly rushed out of the bushes, I was ready. A precise shot hit the head, ending its life instantly.
Tiber Valley in Civitella San Paulo, once a serene land of lush green mountains, endless forests, and scattered ancient villages, has now been plunged into chaos. Wild boars have overrun the area, growing in numbers and boldness. The locals can no longer keep them under control, and the damage caused has already amounted to millions of dollars. Without hesitation, our team hit the road. The hunt had begun. And this time, failure was not an option. As soon as we arrived, the first signs revealed themselves. Massive hoof prints etched into the ground, and droppings scattered everywhere. It didn't take long to track them down. Just minutes into the trail, we heard the familiar rustling sounds deep in the underbrush. The hounds barked ferociously, flushing the boars out of hiding. Without wasting a second, we took our positions. A shot rang out. Bam! The alpha dropped instantly. The rest of the herd panicked and scattered, but we had already blocked their escape. Another one went down. The entire team was pumped, filled with adrenaline, and ready for the next encounter. Following the fresh trails, we moved to surrounding areas. Sure enough, a few stragglers were still hiding in the thick bushes. But just as we approached, they sensed us and bolted. We couldn't let them get away. We picked up speed, weapons ready, chasing them into an open field. One large boar broke away from the group, a critical mistake. We took it down instantly. The rest kept running. The hounds quickly caught their scent. Just as we reached them, a dark blur dashed right in front of us. It was trying to escape the dogs, but I had been lying in wait. The target came into my sights. I pulled the trigger. The boar tumbled and fell motionless on the grass. Absolutely thrilling. As we made our way further up the hillside, we encountered more boars. They were not only larger, but much craftier. With all our skills combined, we managed to take down several massive ones. We scanned the area thoroughly. No signs of more boars for now, but we knew the area was still crawling with them. This hunt was far from over. After hours of climbing rugged terrain, we heard an unusual sound. Suddenly, a monstrous wild boar, weighing close to 200 kilograms, appeared before us with a furious glare. We had to be extra cautious. Oh no, it charged. Luckily we were ready. It closed the distance to just centimeters. Boom. A clean shot hit it hard. It was critically wounded, gasping for breath. To be safe, we fired another round. We ventured into a denser forest, where the terrain was rough and treacherous. But this was also where boars gathered the most. Rustling came from the bushes. We raised our weapons, ready to fire. Suddenly, a huge boar burst out, charging straight at us. It charged with terrifying speed. A bullet hit its shoulder, but it wasn't enough. It growled and kept coming. No time to hesitate. 2 more shots, this time to the chest and neck. The beast staggered, stumbled, then collapsed. We sighed in relief, but just then, another group of boars emerged, ready to attack. This time, we had to give it our all. After nearly 10 minutes of intense battle, we successfully brought down the entire group. But our mission wasn't over. Determined to find even bigger boars, we pushed onward. Look, there. A wild boar carefully weaving through the tall grass. The moment it spotted us, it tried to run. The gap closed fast. I fired the first shot, straight at its head, but it didn't go down. The second shot, then the third. Only then did it finally collapse. This victory had us all cheering. The hunt lasted longer than we expected, but we couldn't stop now. This time, we set up an ambush. The herd panicked, scattering in all directions, but we didn't let a single one escape. With precise shooting, we took down several large boars. It was an incredible success. Our relentless effort paid off. One of the hottest about the invasion of wild boars, where fields and farms are severely devastated by this animal. In this time, we, a professional hunting group, decided to participate in one of the most intense battles in the history of wild boar hunting. More than 100 wild boars were shot down in just one day. We moved from early morning. As soon as it was light, we arrived at the meeting point. This is a gentle hill, not too many trees, where wild boars often come to forage. As soon as we arrived, we discovered traces of wild boars. Over there. On this side too. They appeared scattered everywhere. We didn't have much time. If we didn't act quickly, the opportunity would be lost. The whole team divided into small groups, tracking each target. A large wild boar came into sight. We immediately opened fire. The fatal shot made the target stagger and fall. At the same time, the gunshots echoed throughout the hills. Our teammates also took down more wild boars. After the first clash, a few surviving wild boars scattered to the nearby hill. We split into two groups and advanced to surround them. The strong wind and steep terrain made it difficult to shoot accurately. We took them down one by one. However, the gunshots from the previous battle caused the nearby wild boars to panic, and they quickly sought cover. At this time, our group maintained their formation, their eyes constantly scanning the dense bushes where the invaders were hiding. In the distance, a wild boar appeared, its eyes red with challenge. Without hesitation, the weapon was ready, took a deep breath, and pulled the trigger. The huge wild boars fell one after another after the crisp gunshots. Just when we thought everything was under control, another boar suddenly rushed out from the bushes. We were completely surprised. The group immediately retreated, quickly choosing a defensive position. The gunshots echoed again, taking down the target before it could reach us. The sudden appearance of the wild boar just now made us a bit startled. However, we quickly regained our composure and continued moving forward. This is the most difficult terrain, where the pigs become more dangerous than ever. After nearly 30 minutes of trekking, at this moment, at the foot of the hill, a black shadow appeared and disappeared. It was coming this way. Quickly get into position. Hold the gun firmly. This is the moment. However, things got out of control. The wild boar had dodged the consecutive attacks. Immediately close in, shorten the distance. We intercepted and then opened fire. The target was completely defeated. In this wild place, wild boars often live in herds. The number is so large that we cannot reach all of them. However, the whole group quickly pulled the trigger, determined not to let them escape. There were wild boars that were shot and fell, but the rest also escaped very quickly. In the right position, we started to attack fiercely. Immediately after, a series of gunshots rang out continuously. The herd of wild boars tried to run away, but we were still determined to pursue. With great efforts, we followed the trail and found our spoils. The terrain became more rugged. The hillside was full of large rocks and dense thorn bushes. From the top of a high mountain, we discovered a few lone wild boars on the opposite slope. When a wild boar crossed the sparse bushes, right at the most favorable position, we promptly opened fire. A perfect shot. The wild boar immediately collapsed on the spot. Crossing another mountain range, the appearance of wild boars became more and more. As soon as we discovered a herd of wild boars moving up the mountain, we did not hesitate to open fire. The hunting trip continued until the end of the day. Although there were many wild boars here, it was not easy to hunt them. With a not-so-successful hunting day, I would need to rest and prepare carefully to continue the hunting trip tomorrow.
Wild boars in Turkey are famous for their huge size and are much more prominent than their European counterparts. But more and more problems related to wild boars are being reported. My grandmother, who lives on the outskirts of the city, is not having a good time either. Her vegetable gardens and crops have been flattened by them. She really hopes that the government will take measures to control this situation. With my hunting experience, I am determined to destroy these hateful wild boars. If you are interested, follow me in this video. In the city where I live, wild boars often invade residential areas to find food. Now, many residents have complained about their appearance in herds, threatening their safety. Not only causing heavy damage to agriculture, wild boars now also bring concern when they invade the city. Perhaps not many people have enough courage to face these monsters weighing hundreds of kilograms. In addition, we were also concerned that the invasion of wild boars could bring diseases to humans and livestock. Therefore, the city government allowed hunting to take place in order to help control the wild boar population. In the morning, I and other hunters were at the top of the mountain, where we could observe all the surrounding areas. Sure enough, a herd of wild boars appeared, moving at a fast speed and with high alertness. There were some wild boars of enormous size. I could clearly observe them from a distance. Everything inside me was boiling. The greatest desire right now was to hunt as many wild boars as possible. It took me a few minutes to adjust the gun to the target. Then I immediately pulled the trigger. Continuous shots rang out. The crowded herd of wild boars accelerated and ran even faster. We followed the herd of wild boars as they moved from one mountain to another. Gunfire would occasionally ring out, as the group was determined to pursue the herd of wild boars to the end. There were accurate shots, causing the wild boar screams to echo throughout the space. Through the deciduous trees, the wild boars had no way to hide, so we still had a chance to shoot. Our pursuit was not in vain, as many wild boars were destroyed. Down in the flat valley, the hunting dogs were hunting for the remaining wild boars. Just a few minutes later, from inside the bushes, a wild boar rushed out. I immediately opened fire to finish it off. It was amazing. My shot was completely accurate and took it down on the spot. On the snowy ground, the wild boar was not too big, but it was still a proud achievement. But that was not enough. I was still tirelessly searching for other targets, hoping that this hunting trip would yield many wild boars. The chase was getting more and more intense. I had just shot a large wild boar in the herd, causing it to collapse on the ground. The remaining wild boars did not stop, rushing across the mountain slopes in the hope of escaping. We were still following their every move. As soon as there was an opportunity, gunshots would destroy the target. On the white snow, each large wild boar lay still. Our spoils of war continued to increase. Wild boars weighing 200 to 300 kilograms, or pairs of tusks 20 to 30 centimeters long, all made me feel excited. We were determined to chase the wild boars across the mountains. When they fled into the deep forest, things became more difficult. The snow-covered trees also obstructed our vision. With great difficulty, I was able to approach the target position. Through the dense trees, I immediately took shot. The shot was quick and clean. Everything suddenly became quieter. But I quickly learned that the shot had hit the target, so it could not escape.
Put puku. Jel to?
Just after escaping from the forest, I encountered another large wild boar. Its running steps seemed heavy, so I also took the opportunity to fire a few shots in succession. Everything was still under control. The wild boar had no chance to escape. Soon after, we continued to spot and chase other large wild boars. There is nothing more wonderful than hunting large targets with impressive long tusks. Therefore, we were immersed in the wonderful feeling of the hunting trip. The further we went, the more crowded herds of wild boars we encountered. They ran together across the mountain slopes, their black shadows standing out against the white snow. We tried our best to shoot each one. Although the excitement was still high, the weather was getting worse. It seemed like a snowstorm was coming, so we needed to quickly return home to ensure safety. A scene of wild boars ravaging a field corn appeared before our eyes. The land was trampled. The farmers stood there, stunned, looking at the devastation. A herd of pigs can destroy hectares of land in just one night, leaving serious consequences for those who depend on agriculture. Previously, tracking them took hours, even days, but now, with just a few simple steps, we can determine the exact location of the herd. Can we gain complete control with drones? Join us on today's trip. The drone circled over the orchard near the house. A herd of about 7 to 8 wild pigs was digging in the soil there. Immediately, the whole team moved along with a pack of hunting dogs and began to ambush. The herd of wild pigs being chased panicked and ran away, rushing out of the garden. At this time, we were already waiting outside, weapons in hand ready. When the target was in sight, we immediately pulled the trigger. The first spoils of the day made us extremely excited. They were all wild boars with huge sizes. No wonder their destructive power was so great. Without further hesitation, we continued to search for the next targets. This time, the drone detected a few individuals hiding among the trees. After determining the location of the wild boars, we quickly deployed an ambush. In the blink of an eye, 3 boars fell under accurate shots. Accuracy and speed are the vital factors in this hunt. Here it is. On the hillside, a wild boar was trying to run as fast as possible to escape the pursuit of the hunting dogs. Amidst the cheers of the whole team, the target gradually became disoriented. When the wild boar was tired, it was time for us to take action. After the crisp gunshots, the wild boar was still in place. Some nearby pigs took the opportunity to run away, but that was a wrong choice. Each target was taken down one by one. This time it was more difficult. The herd of pigs was large and moving continuously. It took 15 minutes of chasing for the whole team to close in on them. When the gunshots rang out, a wild boar charged straight at us. The tension was suffocating, but immediately, a teammate's shot took it down less than 5 meters away. The whole team breathed a sigh of relief. The other wild boars were also quickly found. The encirclement was tightened. We opened fire simultaneously. Some of the more cunning targets tried to hide behind the fruit trees. However, we were prepared in advance. In just a few minutes, our number of spoils had increased significantly. While we were enjoying the joy of victory, the noise from the bushes on the side of a road caught our attention. Raising our vigilance, guns loaded, we immediately took position that took place. A black shadow flashed past us. Adjusting the scope, firmly pulling the trigger. A perfect kill. Headshot. Heading towards the top of the mountain, the sight before us was amazing. It was a large herd of wild boars. The drone helped us track them, but we had to run for hundreds of meters when we had the chance. We only managed to take down 2 before the herd ran away. Not willing to give up, we found more suitable shooting angle to attack. This position was perfect for an ambush. When the whole team pulled the trigger, for more wild boars were taken down on the spot. The hunt ended with an unexpected encounter. On the way out of the hunting area, the familiar shadows appeared once again. Unable to ignore, the whole team quickly adjusted their scopes. From the ambush position, they aimed precisely at the vital points of each target and pulled the trigger. Seeing the wild boars fall one by one before our eyes, we knew that today was a successful hunting day. Looking back at the spoils after a long day, we couldn't help but feel proud. Drones are truly a powerful weapon, helping to detect and track wild boars from a distance, significantly reducing search time. Wild boars are no longer just a concern for farmers. Now, they are causing nightmares all over the world, especially in the United States. Wild boars not only invade land, but also threaten communities, destroy crops, and endanger people. And today, we are on the road again, continuing the dramatic battle with this animal. Follow our team of hunters on their wild boar hunting journey and witness the thrilling moments of the chase. Early in the morning, we were at the edge of the forest, ready for a challenging hunt. We went deep into the dense forest. Just a few minutes later, the hunting dogs picked up the scent of the prey. Their barks echoed throughout the area, signaling that the target was very close. Following the sound, I headed towards a clearing between the trees. Through the foliage, I saw a herd of wild boars running in panic, trying to escape the fierce pursuit of the hunting dogs. Quickly hiding behind a large tree trunk, I raised my gun, aiming at the largest wild boar in the herd. It was running fast, but I waited patiently for the right moment. When it was clearly in my sight, I took a deep breath, held the barrel of the gun steady, and pulled the trigger decisively. The loud sound of the gun echoed in the deep forest. A fatal shot. This was not the first time we had set foot in this forest. As experienced hunters, we knew the habits and movements of the wild boars well. Therefore, in this area, many observation posts have been built, becoming ideal positions to help us monitor prey and hunt effectively. Choosing a nearby observation post, I quickly climbed up, stabilized my position, and was ready to wait. From above, my vision covered a large area, making it easy to detect even the smallest movements. Suddenly, a black shadow rushed past right in front of my eyes. Reflexively, I tightened the trigger. The wild boar was hit, stopped, and collapsed on the side of the road. Not wasting the opportunity, I quickly turned the gun to the left. At a distance of about 200 m, another wild boar was trying to run away. Taking a deep breath, I aligned my aim and pulled the trigger. This time, the target continued to be taken down neatly. As I left my hiding place, the quiet atmosphere was suddenly broken by a loud noise. Suddenly, from between the trees, a wild boar rushed forward with red eyes full of anger and a dizzying speed. It seemed like it had been waiting for this moment for a long time. Although it was a dangerous situation, with my extensive experience in hunting, I did not panic. Everything seemed to happen very slowly. I quickly realized the situation and calmly raised my gun. Aiming precisely at the vital point, I pulled the trigger without hesitation. The bullet hit the wild boar's head, causing it to collapse immediately. The number of wild boars was increasing. They appeared everywhere, surrounding my hiding place. Every movement in the forest made me highly alert. It felt like the whole forest was bustling with the presence of the herd of pigs. That was the opportunity one was waiting for. Everything was ready. Gun in hand, bullets loaded. I was just waiting for the opportunity to fire. One shot, one kill. Gunshots rang out continuously. Each wild boar fell mercilessly.
Good.
After taking down the herd of wild boars at the observation post, I didn't stop. The forest next door was still uncontrolled, and that was where I continued my hunting journey. I moved cautiously, avoiding revealing my position. Every step was carefully calculated. As soon as I entered the forest next door, the pack of hunting dogs that had been lying in wait began to bark loudly, signaling that the prey was not far away. With the support of the dogs, I easily took down 4 more wild boars, increasing my number of spoils.
Yes.
As soon as the gunshot rang out, a few wild boars in the pack realized the danger and hurriedly looked for a way to escape. However, I had already grasped their every move, and they could not fool me. I immediately adjusted my position and pulled the trigger. However, the bullet did not hit a vital spot, so they still had the ability to escape. However, its body was damaged, and its ability to move was severely reduced. In the end, it could not escape its fate of being destroyed. In the midst of the chaos, the remaining wild boars managed to find a way to escape, disappearing from our sight. But we were not worried. With the support of the hunting dogs, we quickly regained the initiative. After a short time, the dogs found their hiding place. The barking of the dogs echoed throughout the forest. I adjusted my sights, identifying each panicked prey within sight. And immediately, I pulled the trigger. The last wild boars were taken down, unable to escape. Tony, a close friend of mine, owns a large farm in the suburbs. He had complained many times about the wild boars that frequently attacked and destroyed his crops, causing considerable damage. The corn, potato, and cassava fields that he had tended for many days were suddenly plowed up. Unable to let this situation continue, I quickly accepted. A dramatic adventure was waiting for me ahead. I set off early in the morning, taking about 30 minutes to drive to the farm. On both sides of the road were vast green fields. In the distance were dense forests, where the wild boars could be nesting. Tony was waiting with a long-range rifle and an eager smile. We started our hunt in the cornfield near the farm. Looking at the torn corn cobs and the large footprints on the ground, I knew that the herd of wild boars had just visited here not long ago. However, it seemed that the herd had sensed danger and temporarily retreated. Wild boars, a wild animal that not only causes huge economic losses, but also threatens the environment and ecosystem. They reproduce at a dizzying speed, destroy crops, devastate forests, and cause heavy losses to farmers. In particular, they also have the ability to adapt quickly to all living conditions, making their control a huge challenge. Therefore, a comprehensive plan has been drawn up to prevent the invasion of this animal. The plan was implemented not only based on weapons, but also on the sophistication in setting traps and tracking the movements of wild boars. Everything was ready, and the dramatic hunt began. That day, we arrived at the meeting point. This was a large area of land where wild boars often appeared. I began to check the surrounding area, looking for traces of wild boars. Large, deep pig footprints imprinted on the wet ground led me to an area near a dense bush. This was where they often visited. After identifying the familiar paths of the pigs, I decided to set traps at these strategic points. The traps were cleverly designed, effectively capturing wild boars without causing harm to them. To attract them, I used corn and wheat as bait. The scent of these baits is irresistible to the wild boars. To ensure that the surveillance goes smoothly, I also placed some infrared cameras near the traps so that I can observe the movements of the wild boars at night. Once the traps were set, I moved to the neighboring area, where I could easily observe any movements without being detected. The whole team sat waiting, concentrating, preparing for the next attack. Using the remaining bait, I spread them out on an open field, then climbed a nearby tree to hide and wait. In my hand was the Henry carbine, a gun that stood out thanks to its fast-firing mechanism, ease of use, and powerful damage. 1 hour passed. At this time, I discovered a mature wild boar weighing about 90 kilograms approaching. Little did it know that this would be its last meal. I did not hesitate, raised my gun, aimed accurately, and pulled the trigger. The shot rang out. The wild boar collapsed to the ground. The remaining ones panicked and ran away, running in different directions. The chase began. I signaled to the team members, each taking charge of an area, coordinating closely to ensure that no one was left behind, while I continued to track and shoot down the large wild boars. The smaller ones quickly rushed into the dense bushes, trying to escape. However, with the speed and accuracy of the team members, they could not escape. Each shot was carefully calculated. A large male wild boar, with shiny black fur and sharp tusks, was taken down after an extremely accurate shot. I felt nervous, but also proud when I saw the spoils I had collected. After completing the chase, we went back to check the trap we had set earlier. I was quite surprised by the number of wild boars stuck in the trap. They were all large, adult animals. We handled each one carefully, making sure not to harm them when removing them from the trap. These wild boars weighed between 80 and 120 kilograms, with long, sharp tusks and bulging muscles. They were valuable trophies, but they also caused terrible destruction to the surrounding environment. After several hours of intense fighting, together with the trap I had set the night before, we had brought down more than 40 wild boars. Quite an impressive result. However, this number was still nothing compared to the huge number of wild boars in the area. Wild boars reproduce very quickly, and if left unchecked, they will continue to destroy crops, causing great damage to farmers. We know that, although we have controlled it somewhat, without a long-term and sustainable plan, the invasion of wild boars will never end. Thank you for following this journey. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to support the channel. See you in the next videos.
up in slow motion, like.
Coyotes are a highly diverse and abundant predator. It is estimated that there are millions of coyotes worldwide. However, with increasing numbers, this animal has caused significant damage to the agricultural industry. According to the U.S. State Department, coyotes cause more than $80 million in damage to the agricultural industry in Texas each year. Or in some areas, the number of livestock killed by coyotes each year is estimated at around 20,000. This has contributed to the motivation of hunters to participate in annual coyote control to protect the economy as well as the safety of the community. With their techniques and years of combat experience, will they succeed in this war? Join Jack and his neighbors on their hunting trip. The story begins when Jack hears his neighbors complaining about livestock being stolen from their farm. The main culprit is coyotes. They have destroyed the fence that protects the farm, guard, invade, and steal valuable livestock. Now, if they do not act, the thieves will continue to wreak havoc, and the livestock will no longer be intact. After the discussion, Jack and his neighbors decided to prepare their weapons and start the war. They would pay the price for their actions. The robbery happened just a few hours ago. They certainly haven't gotten far yet. Hurry up! The coyote tracks led the group into a vast cornfield. The corn leaves rustled in the wind, but a long howl could be heard from somewhere. They stopped and listened closely. The howls were not random. They were hiding among the thick corn. Jack divided the group into encircling directions. The formation moved slowly but surely. Every step was calculated so as not to alarm the wolves. After about 15 minutes of waiting, the first targets appeared. Now, everything is ready. A Remington 783 22-250 rifle, a shotgun, and some extra tools to lure the coyotes are the perfect choice for the trip. Because no matter the distance, the coyotes have no chance of escaping. Jack carefully raised the gun, adjusted the scope, and took a deep breath to steady himself. He aimed precisely at the vital points, such as the coyote's head and chest, his finger tightening the trigger. The gunshot rang out, and the coyote fell instantly. One shot, one kill. Meanwhile, his teammates also quickly took action. Each bullet demonstrated the excellent skills of experienced hunters. Eventually, the group decided to change tactics. They used sound traps, devices that simulated coyote howls, to lure the coyotes into a pre-arranged ambush area. A small speaker was placed in the middle of the field, emitting continuous sound. The coyotes were stimulated and flocked to that area. At this point, Jack and his teammates had quietly moved to higher positions, from where they could observe the whole scene and control the situation better. When the coyote pack appeared in full force, Jack signaled the group to open fire. The last volleys of bullets rang out in the afternoon sunlight. The battle ended with the victory of the farmers. The coyotes were defeated. They were scattered across the grasslands and cornfields. Each one was an average size of 15 to 20 kilograms, with gray fur mixed with light brown, giving it a characteristic wild look. The group returned to the farm with the spoils of war, ending the rampage of the wild animals.